Welcome to Gabbin with Gavin.
Gavin Clark is one of the co-owners of Vintage 905 and joins us. Hello, Gavin.
Gavin Clark has been selling vintage clothing in downtown Whitby for over 3 years.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to, this is going to be episode 11 of Gabbin with Gavin. I got a very special guest with us, joining us via Zoom today. We've got the pride of Hamilton. He is the hardest working man in Canadian show business. Ladies and gentlemen, BA Johnston. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. It's my pleasure to be here on this podcast.
Hey, well, thank you very much. The curb life is treating you all right?
I'm kind of bored.
No doubt.
But I appreciate still getting money.
Absolutely. I bet you're ready to get back rolling with the driveway shows and get back on the road.
Yeah, it's been kind of tough because I've had to cancel a fair bit because of the latest lockdown. I was kind of hoping to get going again in April, but here I sit.
Yeah, just waiting for some news, right? I mean, it's tough.
I mean,
right
my show is pretty contagious, so it's probably better to wait a bit more, but I was excited to leave my house.
That's a great adjective to describe the show. BA Johnston show is contagious.
Very wet.
For anybody who's unfamiliar with you, who's never seen your one man show, could you describe it to us? Like what's some words, some that you would use to describe your performance?
I find it hard to describe it in a way that would make anyone want to see it. Basically, it's like a folk singer who gets very close to you.
It goes like this. I want to drink in a bar. I want to drink in a bar. I want to drink in a bar filled with aliens.
Definitely. It
doesn't sound good either, though. No, I know I wouldn't want to see that.
It's kind of punk rock. It's kind of indie wrestling. It's kind of stand-up comedy. Yeah.
I marry all these things together.
Are you a fan of those things? I'm very interested to know, like, kind of your origins, man. Like, I've followed your career for a long time. I've been a big fan, but I'm interested to know, like, what got you started as a performer and an entertainer. Like, who did you look up to?
I mean, I first started out of envy of all my friends that were in actual bands that could play instruments and got shows. So I just was like, I want drink tickets. So I decided I would play shows. Kind of taught myself guitar, and then the show evolved over touring, and you were playing to kind of like drunken strangers who don't care about you. So you kind of have to entertain them because they're kind of angry, drunken bunch. So the show kind of took on a life of its own, kind of realizing what you had to do to keep people's attention.
You started off, you play all originals and that, but you kind of started off with doing songs based off like audience suggestions, a lot of like improv and that. That's right?
Oh yeah, no, I mean that was a long time ago. When I first started, it was in North Bay, and yeah, the audience would like yell stuff at me, and then I would try and play it.
Very cool, man. Like that's got to be that's got to be a different show every night, you know. Just straight.
Yeah, I didn't play that often, so it was less of a problem. But I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, it's kind of better probably just to have actual songs that are good, as opposed to like the whims of drunken people yelling suggestions at you, which it can go horribly wrong.
How long has your music career been now? It's 20 plus years, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, it might be. It's probably close. Yeah. No, wait. It could be 20. No, I think I'm like 18 years, maybe.
18. Okay. That's longevity, man. That's got to be.
It seems like it's been a while.
And then these last years have just been, 5. This last year's felt like 5 years, so it's hard to tell time anymore.
I mean, it's been because when I did the backyard shows last summer, like every week I was doing the equivalent of like a month's worth of shows because I was super busy. So it was like, and then so it was a really crazy, intense summer, and then beyond that, I just sat on the couch. So it's like it's either like play a million shows or watch a million shows, basically.
I think we're kind of just grazing over this too. It's like for anybody who doesn't know, are you the only artist that you know of who does a backyard show tour?
Except Pete's gonna die. Make some mistakes tonight. We're all going to jail. Except Pete. Pete's gonna die.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think because I played some backyards and they'd be like, I think I played a backyard in Woodstock and they said there was a Pantera tribute band who played their backyard. So there was other people out there doing it, but I don't know if they were like going town to town.
Okay. Those are the local backyard shows.
Yeah, like they hadn't hit the big time of backyard shows like I had, where I got to play like a pool deck in Erin, Ontario.
Not to brag or anything.
No, not to toot my own horn, but
Oh man. That's I think that's like so it's very cool just to see, man, how you innovate and like roll with the times, and obviously everything's hard, especially for performers right now. But
yeah, I mean, I'm really happy I did it now. I stole the idea. There was a company in Calgary called Curbside Concerts that was doing like drive-in cover band concerts, like a guy would like Stompin' Tom songs or Hank Williams songs or something. And I just stole that idea. I was like, I'll just do that without playing cover songs. And people just were so desperate for something to do last summer that it worked out quite well.
definitely. Well, I hope things open up. And I hope we get to see you tour around doing your driveway shows, and we're definitely gonna book you for one.
Yeah, but get those driveways going. I'm ready to dance in them.
I love it, man. So you were describing the show. It's very punk rock. It's very crowd interactive. I've got a question like I'm super curious to know. Have you get very diehard fans? Do you have your fans, like your really serious fans, bring a friend, a girlfriend, something like that, who just doesn't get it at all?
Oh, yeah.
Have you had a bad
show.
experience with? Yeah. Is there any really bad ones off the top of your head? Because you're kind of a polarizing guy.
I mean, sometimes, like, very rarely the other person has tried to like attack me. Like a friend of mine who's a teacher brought another teacher, and that other teacher was like came for me, but then someone kind of grabbed him, and I thought that was kind of weird. Or what usually happens is they bring a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they are in the very front, and then the other person you watch just the magic go to their eyes, like they just hate it so much, usually quite quickly, and then you have to watch them hating you for the whole show, which I find sometimes kind of enjoyable because I'm like, this guy's night is really ruined. Like one guy even dressed up, like I think it was like a Christmas show, so he was wearing a wacky sweater and lights, and then he just hated me so much, and then he was just sitting by himself at the bar by like halfway through the show.
It's awesome knowing that guy, dressed up, went out to have a time, and
he was really sold on the idea that it was going to be pleasant, and very disappointed.
Bah humbug, right?
I know.
Oh man, yeah. So it happens fairly often. You'd say you get the fish out of water. Yeah. Yeah,
that is very, because my show doesn't. A lot of people don't like it, which is fine. But a lot of people show up and they do not have a good time.
But a lot of people show up and have time of their life, right? Like you must have people who come.
Are people that enjoy it. But not every person.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to insinuate that everybody dislikes your live show.
No, there are at least tens of people every night having a great time, but also tens of people having a horrible time.
Oh man, fantastic! I want to ask you about something here. I saw a tweet. You ranked the 5 best cities in Canada. Yeah,
it was a joke though.
Hamilton, and Oshawa.
Yeah, well, I felt Oshawa could use some cheering up.
Yeah, I love it.
Oshawa is get you guys on the list, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oshawa is my city. I wanted to ask if you had a favorite thing about Oshawa.
Oshawa has always been very good to me. Ever since the first show I ever played was at the Velvet Elvis. I didn't know anybody there, and they were just like so on board, like for the first song. And this is before I was much worse then too, and they were just so into it. So I played there all the time. And just, I toured with the Stables, who were from Oshawa a lot, and some other Oshawa bands like the Rec Room played shows with them, and Baker Muck Rattlers. So it's, Oshawa's taken me in. And I feel like it could go either way in Oshawa.
There's a place I know called Oshawa. Come on. The airport. I used to come here as a kid. That's a real jet. There's a World War II museum here with tanks. Went to school here. Kid was stabbed at that bus stop. It was a fight between teenagers over $10. He died.
No, I feel, they've been very supportive.
Yeah, when if Oshawa loves you, you'll know, and if Oshawa does not like you, you'll know.
Oh, you'll know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Whopper Wednesday and I'm down at BK in the drive-thru, grabbing some Whoppers. Tell the kids no mayonnaise.
You've got a lot of songs that are based around food. You do a lot of traveling to
A lot
awesome.
of eat.
What let me ask you, what's one fast food place that you love or is kind of underrated, and what's one that's overrated?
Ooh, that's tough. I find when you're on tour for long enough, all the fast food, you get sick of it, even if it's good. Like I like McDonald's is fine, but I find after the first week, I'm eating Arby's just to get away from McDonald's,
Yep.
even though I don't need to eat Arby's that often. I'd say Tim Hortons is probably the most overrated,
Definitely.
but but I also go there a lot. So it's like this weird temple of mediocrity that you can't escape from because I need caffeine and occasionally soup, I think. So I'm always going there.
Got to stay warm.
Yeah, you got to stay hydrated and warm. So that would be the most overrated. Underrated, I don't know. It's a tough one. Arby's is a bit underrated because I find Arby's is like, it's not good, but it's different.
Slow roasted beef is just the start of our 99-cent barbecue. Then we simmer that beef for a long spell in authentic barbecue sauce, and Arby's tops it with a 99-cent price, but not for long.
Those little curly fries, and I only eat it like the Arby's in Sudbury and the Arby's, I think, in Cranbrook. So it's really, I don't eat a lot of Arby's. I got to be in the right place.
Okay.
I usually drive through and I'm hungry, so I'll pull in.
I find Arby's gets a little bit of unnecessary hate, you know?
People are very mean to Arby's.
Very critical of Arby's, and
I mean,
it's not like you can get a roast beef sandwich anywhere.
yeah, it's true, the meat is a little gray and odd colored. But the fries are curly.
But the curly,
and you
they're
know what we do, right?
Absolutely.
You can easily throw stones at every fast food restaurant out there. They're all kind of terrible in their own way.
Definitely. Oh man, that's great. I want to ask you too. What's your take on things happening, everything shutting down with the CFL? You've heard the rumors, CFL XFL merger
Ooh.
coming.
I found it quite heartbreaking just because it seemed like all the other leagues, I mean, even the Canadian like soccer league still had a season in Prince Edward Island. So, but I understand why they didn't get to play. It would be a difficult thing to organize with most of the players being American. Where do you do it? I'm really hoping there is a season this year that seems optimistic, but I'm a bit nervous about it just because I'm not sure if the league could survive another shut season. I mean, I don't know. I don't have an insight into their pocketbooks, but I imagine they don't have a lot of spare cash.
No, it's tough to see, and yeah, the CFL is just, it's classic Canadian stuff. So hopefully, like you're saying, it can pull through. And I know you're a huge Tiger Cats guy.
Oh, yeah, got my season tickets. Definitely a huge Tiger Cat fan.
That's awesome. Speaking of Hamilton, I've learned a lot about the city from BA Johnston's Ham Jam.
Nice.
I love the show, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it getting prepped for this interview, and I learned a lot about the city.
My love letter to the city itself. Yes, paid for by Bell 5.
Shout out to Bell 5. Yeah, absolutely. Keep that money coming in.
I know they're paying for season 2, but it's kind of on hold with all the COVID stuff.
Well, that's awesome. I was curious about that. Is that something like I honestly really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. Is that something you could see yourself doing, hosting more TV?
I mean, I'd love to. I mean, anyone, I will do any. Pay me money, I will do it, definitely. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing Ham Jam. It was great. And I mean, if it was up to me, I would have done all food. But the people, like the directors, were like, we can't just talk about food. So we had to talk about others.
It can't just be 10 episodes of cheese.
No, like I had to force
cheese and subs.
The submarine episode. I was like, it's got to be a 2-parter. And they're like, no. And I was like, we filmed 20 hours of footage about subs. Like, let's just stretch it out a bit.
But he always comes home to Hamilton.
It was really enjoyable, man. Like just the small stories. Even you saw trying to replace your childhood submarine. Like it was really cool. And then the arcade episode. I felt you really the guy who was the Pac-Man legend. Like I felt you really made his. It was really special for him.
Interesting because when I did talk to him, so I interviewed this Pac-Man guy for my show, and he was kind of like this rumor, like people had talked about him. So you would hear these people being like, "There's a guy, he comes in to this restaurant and he plays Pac-Man. He's so good." But I'd never met him before that. Like it was really hard to track him down. I had to find YouTube videos that he had played baby Pac-Man and like message the guy in charge of that, the moderator, and he got me a hold of it. It felt like really like tracking down this kind of legend or something.
You were known as Captain Canada, is that correct?
I was.
And did you wear a Canadian flag cape?
I wore a Canadian flag cape and a Canadian shirt, like a shirt that says Canada on it.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I remember hearing about you as like a high school student in Stan's place. That people would talk about you.
Wow.
And the only reason
That's crazy.
Yeah. And this actually went on for quite a while.
And they knew my name?
Yeah, they'd say Rick. I don't think anyone knew your last name, but I think the conversation I heard was like, there's a guy named Rick. And he could play Pac-Man pretty much perfectly. I want to say 93, 94, 95.
Wow.
Does that?
I did not know that.
But you were active at those times playing around.
Oh yes, I was.
And you did play at Stan's place as well.
I did.
That's so cool. That's like a mystery. You know what I mean? Like a whole zodiac.
Like a very Hamilton mystery.
That's awesome. Would you be interested in, like, I know Hamilton is obviously your hometown, your love spot. Would you be interested in doing other cities like a BA Johnston's Oshawa?
No, I'd love to do more. Yeah, I kind of want to do a show called Hamilton versus Everybody, where it's like we compare Hamilton to like New York City, but then Hamilton always wins.
So that's fantastic, man. Do you have any more ideas about like? I love that. That
was kind of my main idea. Or there was another show where I go to cities and rate them, like I give them like a grade.
And then it's always like one below Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton will be up here,
That's fantastic, man. Oh, I love it. Very, very cool. Let me ask you, have you had, in the last few years now, another good slice of pizza?
No, I haven't. It's very rare. It happens occasionally, but no, I get them every once in a while. Usually I'm just really hungry and I'm walking past one. No, it's not ever very good. Usually it's just old and sad, like myself.
It might have been one of the most relatable lyrics I've ever heard.
Well, I find Canadians, I guess not Canadians, but Ontarians, like other provinces don't understand why we eat pizza. Like I don't understand why we eat pizza, but someone from BC has no idea why we're eating it.
It's funny, I know, but people, if people come here, they pizza's only Ontario, and I think it's got to be one of the worst ones we got going.
Oh yeah, I couldn't see it spreading anywhere else.
No, yeah, it's contained, but for some reason we seem to love it.
I think because it's there.
It's there, and you can get the walk-in specials.
It was near your high school, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They had slices.
Like a square slice. Exactly.
What's a pizza spot you recommend then?
Hamilton for a long time was pretty bad for pizza, but we had a long time place called Chicago Style Pizza, which makes like the deep dish Chicago pizza, and it's really good, but you can eat it all the time. Mm-hmm. But now we have a new place that opened up called Cowabunga that's actually really good, which is great because pizza in Hamilton was. I mean, I find every once in a while you get these cities that somehow can't make pizza, and that was us. And it seems like something you could get right, but we didn't for some reason.
And Cowabunga's a spot now.
Cowabunga's we have a thing called Roma pizza, which is a pizza that has no cheese on it.
Okay.
And it's like $10. You get it at grocery stores, so it's basically just a big slab of bread with like a tomato sauce, and that's kind of was what I eat that a lot, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing that people have. They don't understand why you'd want to eat that. But it's quite tasty.
No, I get it. That sounds great.
Yeah, it looks really bad though.
You were mentioning Cowabunga. I've got Gremlins album behind me here.
Nice.
You're clearly a huge '80s guy.
I am. Child of the '80s.
What's some classics, man? Like what are some of your, like, I know I don't want to do what's your favorite. It's always too hard off the top of the head. Yeah. What are some that pop out right away to you? '80s movies, '80s TV shows.
I mean, I find for me, When I was in grade 6, I went to a birthday party and the mom rented Big Trouble in Little China back to back with a John Cusack movie called Better Off Dead. It was like two of my favorite movies of all time shown, and it really blew my mind when we were like in this guy's basement watching these movies. It was like, oh my god. So to me, yeah, those are probably my 2 favorite 80s movies right there.
The John Cusack, that's where he's the suicidal.
Yeah, he gets dumped, and so he keeps trying to kill himself, and also he's trying to ski a giant mountain.
Get out of here. Get lost. Get out of here. Take a hike, Brad.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Big Trouble in Little China is just.
Yeah, like I watch it every once in a while, and it's just still it holds up. It's just like I mean, it still appeals to me on a grade 6 level. But as an old man, I'm still like, I mean, I'm on board.
You get lost in it every time I throw it on, I get sucked in, and it's still got just the right cheese. It's what you remember it being.
Yeah.
And
his body and cheesiness and like some of the worst lines delivered with a straight face when they drink the potion.
Some awesome magic.
Liberty never lose their feathers or something. And then even as a kid, I was like, that's terrible, but it's amazing, you know?
Oh man, that's great. I've heard you say you find the 80s held up better than the 90s when we look back now.
And I mean, I would have just like when I was 20, I hated the 80s. I thought it was kind of a trash decade. I was really, I always said 1993 was the peak of everything. You know, Super Nintendo, the world was going great. But I think like I would rather listen to like Rat than Nirvana now. Like I'm kind of more of like the 80s stuff has held up for me. Pointer Sisters still can get down with it, but I don't really need to listen to like Alice in Chains or something. I'm good. You know, it's kind of weird.
Okay. When you say hip hop, you mean 80s hip hop?
No, I mean,
or
hip-hop,
90s.
I
We're
would say
talking
90s hip hop.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think I said Rat or something. I can't
Oh,
remember.
Rat. I'm sorry. I thought you said rap.
Oh no.
Oh,
Rat,
okay.
The hair metal band.
Yeah, that RATT. That makes more sense.
Maybe only with hip hop would I like the 90s more than the 80s. I don't know.
Very interesting. Are you a big hip hop guy?
I've gone through waves in my life of listening to a ton of hip hop and then not as much and then kind of going back to it. I listen to so much different kinds of music. So, I mean, there's not really much I don't listen to except for maybe like EDM or something.
Oh, very cool, man. What's some of your favorite hip hop then? Like you're saying 90s is where you kind of fall back into?
I was really into Jedi mind tricks.
Very cool, man. Yeah, pretty fast. Yeah, that's
super into that. So yeah, that I don't listen to them much now, but yeah.
That's
I'm
funny.
on a weird Ari the Rugged Man, Ra the Rugged Man kick.
Yeah.
Ari the Rugged Man kick for some reason lately. When I'm washing dishes, he's all angry. So
Man, that's awesome. That's funny. I went through a phase of the exact same stuff. It was high school for me, and I had a Wu-Tang Clan meets the indie culture was what the CD was called, and it had RA on it. It had that's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, exactly. I know exactly the genre you're talking about. That's so cool. We kind of touched on this earlier. I wanted to circle back and ask you about this. I've got the BA Ric Flair sweater on.
Nice.
You've got some lyrics that specifically mention wrestling. Are you a big wrestling fan? Because you're very much a character. You know what I mean? Like I see elements of pro wrestling and indie wrestling in you and your show.
I'm kind of back into wrestling.
I love it. Perfect.
Yeah, I was as a kid, you know, as because a younger guy, I was pretty into like WWF, like that was probably the golden era stuff. And then I stopped paying attention, and I went to some independent wrestling a couple years ago, and I was honestly, I think I went kind of ironically, like thinking it would be kind of funny, which is kind of makes me feel like an asshole. But I was really blown away by the talent level of it. I was like quite impressed by how just good the wrestling was, which I was not expecting at all. And I started going to like wrestling because I was just into it again. That's the thing with irony is it's so you want to go ironically, and next thing you just loving it.
It's funny. I love going to local shows, and I get friends who aren't into wrestling at all, and they'll do the same thing. Especially you tell them like, oh, it's a pro wrestling show in Oshawa, like it's good. And they're like, oh, I got to check that out. Then like you said, it's usually super talented people, and
totally
it wins them over. And what do you know what kind of shows have you seen? I'm a big indie wrestling guy.
Mostly because I've been living up. Like I got in a fight with mom So I moved into an Airbnb, which is near Barrie. So I've been going to Barrie wrestling.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Which I imagine is probably some of the same wrestlers that would be wrestling in Oshawa. I think it's kind of the circuit going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know Barrie Wrestling's. They do a good show.
And then they had a nightclub version where they could swear. I went to that. It was like Hustle Brand Wrestling, which I think was the same guy, but it was like, since it wasn't in a church, it was like it's like the X-rated version of it with all the same wrestlers. But that was really good too.
Jesus has left the building, eh?
Yeah, I think yes. They said a couple curse words and they were there. They threw someone through a door, so it was a bit more extreme than the church matches.
Oh, that's funny. This is a completely random side story for you. But when I was younger, probably public school, and we went to a wrestling show at a church, and they had like the Road Warriors.
Oh wow!
Ted DiBiase was there. Like, it was really fun. But then I remember at the very end, it transitioned into basically like a message about Jesus. Like, they brought him up and put him on the cross. They tried to get us to sign up for the church.
Yeah,
and I
would sign up if Ted DiBiase was there. I don't know. I'd be tempted. That's how
everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
I know, and I'd be like, do I give myself to God to get this autograph by Ted DiBiase? Maybe I do. I don't know. There's some people seeing those kind of like WWF superstar wrestlers in that kind of environment that's amazing. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like I saw Jake the Snake at the Collingwood Curling Club.
Yep.
Back when he was still wrestling, but he just kind of punched someone and put him in a DDT. It was a very short match, but it was just what he would think being in this curling club. Like, it was just, yeah, and it was kind of amazing. It was amazing for sure. There's so many kids. It's just like a million little kids climbing everywhere. And yeah, very fun.
It's always an interesting mix of people.
Oh, such a good mix of people.
It's like, yeah, it's some people who are just the most hardcore fans. Some people who are just, trying to get out of the cold.
Yeah, it's so good to watch. Those people start heckling wrestlers that they like, and then all these kids are like giving you dirty looks and stuff. It'd be pretty funny.
Well, that's definitely part of the reason, like I was saying, indie wrestling makes me think of your show. Because, if you think of a standard, like, stand-up comedy show, you don't interact with the performer. You're right in the crowd. You're talking to people. You're interacting with them. It's very like punk rock, very indie wrestling, or a BA Johnston show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably more influenced by wrestling than anyone ever has mentioned before. But yeah, I mean, I watched so much wrestling. And the punk stuff, the first tours I did were with a kind of guy who drew a ton of like real gutter punks. Mm-hmm. So the first shows I did were really trial by fire with some guy named like Stinky wearing like, a weird leather coat with like spikes and stuff. And if he hates you, Stinky's going to get you. So you kind of have to like really appeal to the punks. But the punks were super loyal and oddly kind of just more kind of open-minded than I would have given them credit for too.
Very cool. I think that, yeah, that's Oshawa too. You know what I mean? If it's people who they'll treat you good and you might not expect it.
Because I still play like the Atria, and every time you play the Atria, they are sliding in all their regulars, and the regulars are kind of into it. I think my show too is you could really be on the fence. You get these kind of a lot of older kind of down on their luck people in there watching you, and they are on board, which is kind of nice to see. When they're on board, they're into it for sure.
Have you ever had a show where just you don't get the audience participation? That must be like you. I know you kind of you get in there and you.
It's been a while, but yeah, I mean, there's shows that just don't go as well.
Right.
And there's even some shows every once in a while you're like, I should wrap this up. But maybe I don't need to play 45 minutes. Maybe 30 minutes is enough. But I just find for now, for the most part, there's enough people there that are there for the show that they kind of can sway the audience sometimes a bit.
No, it's perfect. You've done, what is it, 12 albums? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds about right.
So many.
We'll call it a dozen. And you're working on one now, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be. So I was supposed to record it a year ago in England, and that got canceled. And then the Maritimes, and that got canceled. And then next month I'm supposed to record it in BC, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't get canceled. So hopefully it'll be out in the fall. So, but if not, it's gonna be done at some point when the world allows.
What would you say is sort of a difference in your progression from your first one or two albums to your 12th, 13th, wherever we're at now?
I mean, they definitely let me this, because I didn't know how any of this stuff worked. Like, I was like, we'll just hit play on the tape deck for the first record. So, I mean, There's always more talented people kind of helping the records come along, but it just took a long time to realize, oh, maybe it's better to pay money to have it mastered as opposed to like not doing that, or like, you know. And then the producers, it's kind of maybe been 5 different producers that have worked on the record, so they all have kind of different ideas. So yeah, I mean, it has this, I think it's evolved into something that's really more listenable and less lo-fi. The first few records are quite old, but when I listen to them now, I'm like, oh man, like it can be kind of embarrassing a little bit just because it's very raw. And I'm also very whiny. Like, it's all like, why doesn't she love me? It's like a lot of songs about me like desperate for female attention, which I'm like so sad.
But I mean, it's such a weird time right now. It'd be weird to be writing really happy music right now, I feel, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but no one wants to hear songs about COVID either, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking for the record, I had all these COVID songs, and I'm like, I don't think I want to put them on there because I mean, I think we've had enough. You know?
Here's an interesting, with so many albums, you know, you've done so many songs. They're all, and you write very, like they're funny, but they're very personal songs. You know, it's all stuff that's very true to you. How do you keep finding things to write about? Like,
I mean, I'd say my first albums were a lot more like actual stories. Like it was all true, like everything had happened or whatever in my life. And I found the other records, you can take a true event and maybe take some liberties with it or use it for inspiration. So the songs have become, I guess, more fictional, which is kind of nice because I was running out of stuff to sing about there. So it's kind of nice to be like, hey, you can just make stuff up.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go down to the no frills. I don't want to go. I don't want to go down to the no frills.
No, it's I love it. Very, very, very fair answer. I read, when were you in Peterborough? You're a former Peterborough resident, correct?
I went to Trent, so I was in Peterborough for maybe 8 years. I worked in the Trashateria for a long time there.
Okay.
That would have been in the 90s to early 2000s.
Okay. A while ago. Okay, I missed you then. I was there for 1 year in 2010, and I want to know if maybe.
Oh yeah, I was long
gone. I want to see if maybe you were
a
Sin City Monday team pitcher guy.
Oh yeah, I remember going to the Sins because Peterborough. What I liked about it was every bar had a cheap beer night.
Yes,
and I remember Sin City was like Monday was the one night I didn't go out, and then Sin City had $6 pitchers, and I was like, I got to go out on a Monday now to a bar where I might get beat up only because they have $6 jugs. And then yes, I did. I evidently had to go do that.
That all sounds right. I had some buddies who went to school there, and I didn't go to school and just moved into their basement. So we found all the cheap drinking nights.
Yeah, no, makes sense. I went to school kind of, but mostly I just, yeah.
You were on the Van Wilder program. Right. It took a few years to get the.
Yeah, me too. It was quite a long time for that 3-year degree. It was,
Oh man, that's fantastic. Yeah, I don't want to keep you too long, man, because I know you got stuff to do. This has been.
Oh yeah, I'm real busy.
When did you originally know? Like, when did you want to be a performer?
I always kind of did stuff like that. Like when I was a kid, like I was the kid in plays and like making jokes, that kind of stuff, and doing talent shows. And then I think what really held me back initially was I just had no talent for playing instruments. Like all my friends were in bands and they were playing shows. And Hamilton, kind of when I was in high school, like there was tons of bands. Like it was everybody was kind of playing in bands. And I just was super jealous about it. And yeah, I always kind of knew that I wanted to do something like that. I didn't think it would be this. I thought I'd be like a famous actor or something. I didn't know I'd be playing driveways. I'll take it, it's still showbiz.
Do you still have like aspirations to act?
No, I mean, not really. Like I'm kind of more realistic as to what's happening as I age.
Honestly, I was thinking about this today. Something that I thought would be really funny and like would be something about your life, basically like a Louis or like a Seinfeld kind of show. I could you playing a version of yourself, touring around, going to all these small cities and that.
I mean, I'd do it.
I think there's something there.
I've been hate watching the show like at night called Everybody Feed Phil. It's on Netflix, and it's just this I really hate him, this guy named Phil, but he gets to travel the world eating. And
okay, yep.
Phil sucks. Like, why couldn't I? Like, I'm annoying, but I'm not Phil annoying. Like, can't you just pay me to go to Coney Island and eat hot dogs? Like, I could do that very easily. I feel like that's the role I was born to play. I could eat a hot dog. These are delicious, and I could do that very easily.
Okay, there you go. There it is. BA Johnston eats Ontario.
Yeah, get rid of Phil and put me in.
Feed BA.
Yeah, feed BA. Sounds good to me.
That's awesome, man. I have a question. I like to ask people. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but you've been 18 plus years in music now, 12 albums. You've got to tour. You've lived off music for so long. What is it like in your career, if you had to pinpoint something that you're most proud of?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, I think longevity. I mean, if you're looking for a moment, like there's a band called USS that lets me open them every once in a while, and they're quite popular. So there's like 1,000 people, and they don't know who I am. And like the 2 times I've got to open for them to that many people, it was good, and it's crazy to look out and see, even though they're not there for you and don't care about you. There's still that many people. That felt pretty amazing. But I think just still doing it. I mean, for me, it's just the reality that I can still, people want me to play their driveways. I mean, that's probably something there, I guess.
He will play your driveway, everybody watching this.
My career highlight is your driveway.
We're gonna share the info. Make sure you book BA Johnston for your driveway this summer when things open up.
Yes, I will play it.
And he will play it. Oh, that's awesome. It's gotta be a really cool feeling knowing that, you've done it for this long. You can literally go to small cities and you're going to have fans show up.
Yeah. And I got to say the fans have been, especially through COVID, I was kind of surprised at how supportive people have been. It's been nice to see. I guess, you don't really realize kind of doing all the shows and doing all the work, but I mean, it does mean something to people, which it means that I'm doing something right, I guess.
No, very cool. I think that you have got some extremely loyal fans. You've got a great cult fan base almost. You're Gremlins, man.
Very kind.
Yeah! My pops goes to work dragging a trailer, towing jet skis behind the Lincoln Navigator. So an asshole raised the day before, but you said a 25-cent raise is something that you can't afford. Something that you can't afford. So now there's no toilet paper in the staff bathroom. I got it stacked like a pyramid, back in my house.
And no, I think that's awesome to see. And is there anything else you want to touch on before I let you go here?
No, I mean, I'm not selling anything these days. So whatever.
Well, when the new album comes out,
yeah,
go get that.
Werewolves of London, Ontario. Pick it up. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah. When driveway shows are available, you hire him. He will play your driveway.
I will play your driveway. Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, I do songograms. People listening, I will sing a song to you through my phone for not very much money, because that's what I'm doing these days. So yeah.
I love it. Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm a huge fan, so this has been really cool, man.
No, my pleasure.
Awesome. He is BA Johnston. I'm Gavin. This has been Gabbin with Gavin. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.